Hi everyone, it is Zach and Kate Lee, and we are here for our podcast In Between the Lines. Coming to you weekly for basically to talk about life, relationships, and specifically all the different things that kind of make up marriage and in between the lines of marriage that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about or want to talk about. Today's topic of choice is dating your spouse. So Kate and I thought for our very first podcast that we would talk about what it's like to date one another. We've been together for almost 14 years. This summer in August, it'll be 13 years that we will have been married.
You keep track.
Okay. I believe it's 13 years. Whatever 2021 minus 2008 is. So anyways, we are going to be talking about really kind of what we do on a consistent basis to bring a lot of joy, satisfaction, and just happiness with one another. If you don't know us and you're just coming across our podcast for the first time, Kate and I own a company together called LifeWorks Group. And it's a company focused specifically on relationships, whether that's premarital counseling or marriage enrichment or coaching or mediating married couples. But we love helping couples take their relationship to the next level and just align their core values and strengths so that they can have a really fulfilling marriage and a fulfilling relationship together. So, with that being said, what's it like being married to a goofy guy like me?
Wait, are you going to take me on a date after this?
Maybe.
Okay. That would be a good reward.
Okay, good reward. Okay, all right. So, honestly, though, I mean, we have 3 kids. We have a blended family. So when I met Kate, Kate was a single mom, and when we got married, our oldest was 8 years old, and his name is Manny. And then since we've been married, we have had 2 more kids, and so we have one out of the house, and now we have 2 one is in kindergarten. His name is Oliver, and he is 6, and then Claire. She's in 3rd grade, and so they're the 2 that keep us the most busy right now.
And I think that, what's important here for us is that we've always had to be really intentional about dating because we've always had kids in our house.
Always.
We never had that time in our marriage when we could just say, spur of the moment, like, oh, let's go do this, if we didn't want to involve one or more of our children.
Yep.
So from the beginning, Zach especially has been really good about being intentional and making sure that we continue to date. And it's looked different. It's not like we have a set, like every day on this time we do this thing. Dating, I think for us, and it's worked really well for us, has been just, as spur of the moment as possible, but it looks different depending on, what we feel like doing.
Yeah, and I also think, like, in any relationship, I think one of the things that Kate and I have realized throughout our time together, and also just like seeing, our friends go through the process of having their own kids and growing their families or growing their careers and going that facet. Life changes all the time, and so having this built in, like, hey, it's always on Fridays, we always go out on a date, that simply just isn't realistic for us based upon all...
It would be kind of nice.
Maybe when we're retired. It would be nice, but it's not realistic for us right now.
Yeah.
However, one of the things that we do a really good job of, and I think, hopefully one of the things that you can take away from this is that we do a really good job of talking with one another about, what? I think you and I need a little bit of alone time away from the kids or away from thinking about work, because I can tell that you're starting to get really, really stressed. And it's starting to feel, I don't know, kind of claustrophobic in the house. The kids are always like on top of me. Like if I'm sitting in this chair, if it's morning time, the kids are on top of me. And that's including the dog, who you might hear whining in his kennel right now. So it's like there's always something, I think, where there's outside influences that can interrupt your intimate relationship with your spouse. And so having a consistent conversation for us of like, how are we doing? And I think we need to go out and just like, again, get away from it all, even if it's just for an hour and a half.
Yeah, or even if it's just for a quick walk.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, it's kind of scary.
So, yesterday, Zach said, hey, I'm going to take Blue on a quick walk. Would you like to come with? And I said, sure, I'll take a break for 15 minutes and stood up from my desk in the dining room. And we came across this on our walk, and Zach looked at it and said,
it's beautiful.
I need to have that. And we carried it home with us.
Yep. And I want you to know it's authentic Greek. It says made, handmade in Greece.
Yeah.
In English, so you know that it was made in Greece.
Yeah. So I think, why I bring this up is that dates don't have to be this 3-hour, you get a babysitter, you spend a bunch of money type of thing. And that's why I said it looks different for us every time we go on a date. And so it could be a 15-minute walk around the block, or it could be let's do an overnight at a local hotel and do it up. And that's super fun too. But it's like anything in between could be considered a date.
Yeah. One of the things that I always bring up with couples when I'm working with them, especially if they've been together for a longer amount of time, is if they are having trouble connecting, or there's a lack of passion or just understanding within their relationship, and they're kind of living parallel lives where they don't know how to get back to dating. One of the things I always say is, like, think back to when you were first dating. When we were first dating, we dated long distance for a year and a half. And so if I could get 15 minutes in person with her to go on a walk, like, I remember us like talking about that on the phone. If we could just spend an hour together doing anything, watching TV, going on a walk, playing catch, going rollerblading, that would be the best thing ever. And so I think having that mentality still to this day of like, it's the date represents, or it symbolizes investing into one another. That's the purpose of the date. The date, yes, do you want it to be fun? Yes, do you hope you can go and have some good food? Yeah, sure. Those are great things. But the purpose of the date is to pour into your spouse. And so I think a lot of times we lose that, and we don't think about it from that approach. And that's where I think the lack of passion and the lack of connection starts to happen. Because if you simply do a date where you get a babysitter, you go out to eat, you have some drinks, you go home, that can start to feel a lot like a routine and a lot like monotony. And there's not a lot of connection and passion in that, because you're losing the purpose of what I think the date is. Yeah. So anything else that you want to leave our friends with before we sign off for our first podcast?
Go on a date. It's taking me on one.
All right, cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for watching and for listening in, and we will be back next week with the next episode of In Between the Lines.
And maybe more views.
Thanks so much. Bye.